2, 1.
Good afternoon. This is Michelle Cummings-Steele, Chair of the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation. I would like to call this meeting of the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation to order. For each commissioner, I want to be sure that you're present. Please affirm. Commissioner Anderson.
Present.
Commissioner Gentry. Commissioner Haynes.
Present.
Commissioner Hughes. Commissioner Johnston.
Present.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Present.
Thank you. The Parks Board must vote on the record that the COVID-19 pandemic requires it to hold a telephonic meeting as permitted under the Governor's Executive Order number 16, and that contrary rules are suspended. If anyone would like to propose a motion to adopt the telephonic meeting, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Scott Barnes.
I make a motion.
Thank you so much. If anyone would like to second this motion, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Haynes.
Second.
Thank you so much. If anyone has comments on this motion, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Seeing none, we'll go through a roll call vote. Commissioner Anderson.
Approve.
Commissioner Haynes.
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston.
Approve.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Approved.
Thank you so much. I just want to add a note for our audience. For those listening at home, the Parks Board members here are calling in remotely. They are in separate places. When I ask them to raise their hand, that's an action occurring through the software. Appeal of decisions. Pursuant to the provisions of 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, please take notice that decisions of the Metropolitan Board of Parks and Recreation may be appealed to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under a common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal must be filed within 60 days after entry of a final decision by the board. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with an attorney. Consideration of minutes. I hope you've had an opportunity to read the minutes from our March meeting. Is there a motion for approval? Please signify by raising your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Scott Barnes.
I approve the minutes. Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you so much. Is there a second? Commissioner Anderson.
Second.
Thank you so much. We'll go through, are there any comments? I apologize. Seeing none, I'll go through a roll call vote. Commissioner Anderson.
Approve.
Commissioner Haynes.
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston.
Approve.
And Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Approve.
Commissioner Hughes, I see that you've joined us. I apologize. Commissioner Hughes.
Can't hear.
I think I heard you. You speak again?
It looks like, excuse me for interrupting, it looks like we can hear her, but she can't hear us, maybe.
Okay.
Stephen, will you see if you can help Commissioner Hughes, please?
Thank you. Thank you so much. You want to note for the record that Commissioner Hughes has joined our meeting. Welcome. That motion passes. Metro Council referrals. Are there any referrals from council members present, Director Odom?
None today, ma'am.
Thank you so much. We'll move now to old business. 03-21-07, election of park board officers as per section 1000.4 of the Metro Parks Policy Manual. We have chairman nominated for the position of chair was myself, Dr. Michelle Steele. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Scott Barnes.
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you so much. Is there a second? Commissioner Haynes.
Second.
Thank you so much. Are there any comments on this motion? I'll go through a roll call vote of those commissioners in attendance. Commissioner Anderson.
Approve.
Commissioner Haynes.
Approve.
Commissioner Hughes.
Approve.
We can hear you. Commissioner Johnston.
Approve.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Approve.
Thank you so much. The motion passes, and I appreciate you all. Thank you. Let's see. Moving to vice chairman, nominated for the position of vice chair was Commissioner Susanna Scott Barnes. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Anderson,
Make a motion.
thank you so much. Is there a second? Commissioner Johnston,
Yep, second here.
thank you so much. It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments? Seeing none, we'll go through a roll call vote. Commissioner Anderson,
Approved.
Commissioner Haynes,
Approved.
Commissioner Hughes,
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston,
Approve.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Am I supposed to vote on that? I'm not. I got, approve.
The motion passes. Thank you. We'll move now to secretary. Nominated for the position of secretary was Director Monique Odom. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Hughes,
I move that Director Odom be affirmed as the secretary.
thank you so much. Is there a second? Commissioner Anderson,
Second.
thank you so much. It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments? Seeing none, we'll move through the roll call vote of the commissioners in attendance. Commissioner Anderson,
Approve.
thank you. Commissioner Haynes,
Approved.
Commissioner Hughes,
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston,
Approved.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Approve.
Thank you so much. Congratulations to all. We'll move now to our consent agenda. I will accept a motion to accept the consent agenda in its entirety. Commissioner Hughes,
So moved.
is there a second? Commissioner Scott Barnes,
Second.
thank you so much. It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments on this? Okay, seeing none, we'll go through a roll call vote. Commissioner Anderson,
Approve.
Commissioner Haynes,
Approved.
Commissioner Hughes,
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston,
Approved.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Approve.
Thank you so much. The motion passes. We'll move now to new business. 04-21-03, staff requesting approval in concept of an agreement for grant of easement for Conservation Greenway between the Metro Sports Authority and Metro Government on property owned by the Sports Authority located at First Horizon Park, 19 Junior Gillum Way on parcel number 082130404000, and the partial realignment and separation of the existing greenway by Portman Residential LLC, the developer of the adjacent property located at 03rd Avenue North, such that the greenway will remain open daily to the public and a portion will be maintained permanently by owners of the 03rd Avenue North property. Read this for you all, but this will be deferred to acquisition. Okay. We're moving now to 04-21-04. Mr. Phil Claiborne, founder of Friends of Two Rivers, requests the board to accept 3 grants to cover salaries for staffing at Two Rivers Mansion. The numbers include a 1% COLA and a step increase for Laura Carrillo. They are as follows: $21,242.18 to cover 7/1/2021 through 6/30/2022 for Laura Carrillo, 19 hours, $3,042.96 to represent 2 docent salaries, 12 hours each, to cover 6/1/2021 to 8/30/2021, and $508.84 to represent 2 docent salaries, 12 hours each, to cover 12/6/2021 to 12/12/2021. Director Odom, is there a staff recommendation?
Staff recommends approval, Madam Chair, and just for clarification, the portion that talks about the 1% COLA increase should be consistent with Metro's COLA as well. So just for clarification.
Thank you
Recommend
so
approval.
much. Thank you so much. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Hughes,
I move approval.
thank you so much. Is there a second? Commissioner Anderson.
Second.
Thank you so much. If anyone has comments on this motion, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Seeing none, we'll go through a roll call vote. Commissioner Anderson,
Approve.
Commissioner Haynes,
Approve.
Commissioner Hughes,
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston,
Approve.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Approve.
Thank you so much. The motion passes. 04-21-05, Ms. Sharon Work, Friends of Bells Bend Park, requests the board to accept an in-kind grant of trail signs with a value of $1,494. These signs will improve the park experience for visitors. Please note there is no match or other obligation on Metro Parks or the Metropolitan government related to this grant. Director Odom, is there a staff recommendation?
Staff recommends approval.
Thank you so much. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Hughes.
I move approval.
Thank you so much. If anyone would like to propose, make a second, please. Commissioner Scott Barnes.
I second.
Are there any comments? Seeing none, we'll go through a roll call of the commissioners in attendance. Commissioner Anderson.
Approve.
Commissioner Haynes.
Approve.
Commissioner Hughes.
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston.
Approve.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Approve.
Thank you so much. The motion passes. 04-21-06, Ms. Amy Fair, Vice President of Donor Services at Friends of Red Caboose Park Fund, requests the board to accept a donation not to exceed $19,000 for purchase and installation of 2 cantilever shades at the Red Caboose Playground in Bellevue Park. Please note this gift requires no funding match or other obligation from Metro Parks. Director Odom, is there a staff recommendation?
Staff recommends approval.
Thank you so much. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Hughes.
I move approval.
Thank you so much. Is there a second? Commissioner Anderson.
Second.
If anyone has any comments on this motion, please signify. Seeing none, I'll go through a roll call vote on commissioners in attendance. Commissioner Anderson.
Approve.
Commissioner Haynes.
Approve.
Commissioner Hughes.
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston.
Approve.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Approve.
Thank you so much. The motion passes. 04-21. I'm sorry.
I approve too.
I apologize.
That's okay, I just joined.
And I have you covered up. Thank you so much. Please let the record reflect that Commissioner Gentry is present. Thank you. Moving now to 04-21-07, Ms. Jenny Hannon, President of Friends of Warner Parks, requests the board to accept a grant from Friends of Warner Parks to be used for the grant period beginning May 1st, 2021 for the following projects: restoration of the 100 historic zone columns along Highway 100, restoration of historic Deep Well entrance gate, reestablishing Red Bud Alley along Highway 100, removal of invasive plants along Highway 100. Director Odom, is there a staff recommendation?
Yes, ma'am. Just to clarify a couple of points of clarification. This is an in-kind grant not to exceed $750,000, and that information is reflected in the supporting documentation. The staff recommends approval.
Thank you so much. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Hughes.
I move approval.
Thank you so much. Is there a second? Commissioner Scott Barnes?
Yeah, I second.
All righty. Are there any comments on this item? Seeing none, I'll go through a roll call vote. Commissioner Anderson?
Approve.
Commissioner Gentry?
Approve.
Commissioner Haynes?
Approve.
Commissioner Hughes?
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston?
Approve.
Commissioner Scott Barnes?
Approve.
Thank you so much. The motion passes. 04-21-08, Ms. Jenny Hannon, President of Friends of Warner Park, requests the board to accept a SWET staffing grant, EAT staffing grant from Friends of Warner Parks for seasonal staff beginning May 1st, 2021. The details are as follows. Sweat, Special Work, Education and Trails, seasonal staff, Step 1, in the amount of $26,352.72. Sweat, Special Work, Education and Trails, seasonal staff, Step 2, in the amount of $6,880.99. Please note that the quarterly grant reimbursements will reflect actual salaries and hours worked. These grants will be distributed via quarterly reimbursements to Metro Parks. Director Odom, is there a staff recommendation?
Staff recommends approval.
Thank you so much. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Gentry.
Move approval.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Hughes.
Second.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any comments? Seeing none, we'll go through a roll call vote. Commissioner Anderson.
Approve.
Commissioner Gentry.
Approve.
Commissioner Haynes.
Approve.
Commissioner Hughes.
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston.
Approve.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Approve.
Thank you so much. Motion passes. 04-21-09, Ms. Jenny Hannon, President of Friends of Warner Parks, requests the board to accept an in-kind grant not to exceed $1,196,000 from $1,196,000 from Friends of Warner Parks to fund the next phase of improvements in the Warner Parks. Please note this grant requires no match or other obligation from Metro Parks. The following is a list of proposed improvement projects. Nature Center maintenance, $85,000. Replace pipe gates in the park, $60,000. Trail improvements, $100,000. Road improvements, $75,000. Deep well entrance improvements, $60,000. Land management, $75,000. Gates to steps, $200,000. Invasive plant removal, $200,000. Stonework repairs, $150,000. Tree work, $50,000. Trail signage improvements, $15,000. Memorial benches and gardens, $25,000. Mounted police equipment, $1,000. Miscellaneous park improvements, $100,000. Total $1,196,000. Director Odom, is there a staff recommendation?
Staff recommends approval.
Thank you so much. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Hughes.
I move approval.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Anderson.
Second.
Are there any comments? Commissioner, okay. We'll go through a roll call vote of the commissioners in attendance. Commissioner Anderson.
Approve.
Commissioner Gentry.
Approve.
Commissioner Haynes.
Approve.
Commissioner Hughes.
Approve.
Commissioner Johnston.
Approve.
Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Approve.
Thank you so much. The motion passes. We're moving now to capital projects update. Tim Naich.
Thank you, Dr. Steele. Good afternoon, everybody. As always, I will just highlight the projects for which there have been significant changes since last month. The full list is in your packet. We have multiple projects that are in various stages of either bid review or contract negotiations. These include Atafama Archaeological Park. The construction bid review is underway. The Centennial Children's Memory Garden, same status. Elmington Tennis Courts refurb, same status. For Fort Negley, we are scheduling a time to enter into contract negotiations with the master planning team. And for Mill Ridge and Ravenwood, that construction contract is being finalized and hopefully should be circulating for signatures soon. At Wharf Park, we have restarted master planning, and the revised schedule puts completion of that master plan in March of 2022, so about a year. So counting the months, the month or two that we spent before the project was frozen, and now this 12 months, it's consistent with the original project schedule. We just had a lapse there in the middle. We are convening the consulting team and the Parks Project Management team to make sure we're all on the same page with next steps. The planning team has restarted data collection and site analysis. And one of the big topics, first topics of discussion with the team will be the rollout of public engagement, which will be midsummer sometime in July is our current target for that. So we'll have to talk through what that means in terms of whatever COVID restrictions are in place. It'll probably be some combination of remote, and hopefully we can find some successful ways to do some engagement in person. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're moving now to upcoming special activities and events with Jackie
Sorry,
Jones.
Can I just interrupt? Sorry, I just
I
wanted to.
apologize. Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, sorry. Whoops, Tim, which project were you talking about that were the public input? Which one were you referring to?
The Wharf Park Master Plan.
Oh, I see. Okay. Great. All right. Thanks for clarifying.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott Barnes. Were there any other comments, Commissioner Anderson?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, my hand's up. Okay.
Thank you. Seeing none, we'll move now to upcoming special activities and events with Jackie Jones.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So as you can tell by your list, things are really beginning to open up. And so just a few things you might be interested in. The Nashville Earth Day Festival is on Saturday, April 24th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Centennial Park. The festival will be filled with environmentally friendly vendors, educational booths, workshops, and speakers. There will also be live entertainment, yoga, and local food vendors. The festival, of course, is free and open to the public. And for more information, you could log on to NashvilleEarthDay.org. On May 1st, the Centennial Youth Ballet presents Ballet on the Waterfront at Cumberland Park. There are two performances, one at 2 p.m. and one at 6 p.m. Those performances features excerpts from classical ballet favorites like Swan Lake, Sleeping Beauty, Kapala, and more. Individual tickets are $10 or $20 for a pod of 3 people, or $40 for a pod of up to 8 people. Each pod is 10 by 10 with 6 feet in between each pod. Tickets go on sale today. And so for more info, you can log on to friendsofmetrodance.org. And this particular event takes the place of the one that you have listed as Spring Recital. I think you have that listed on April 17th. This event takes the place of that one. Let's see what else we have here. We have the Kite Fest at Mill Ridge Park. The event is from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Saturday in April. It's a free event that includes kites, flying tutorials, picnic snacks, and Friends of Mill Ridge Park gear, t-shirts, hats, and so on. They have a variety of kites for both kids and adults. And last week they had a little over 100 people attend that particular event. And finally, on Wednesday, April 14th, I encourage you to tune in to 96.7, which is El Hafaf. We will have Ms. Fee from Smith Springs Community Center, myself, and Nicola Crofstead talking about all the great programs going on this summer at Metro Parks. And I think you might also have on your sheet a listing for Musicians Corner for April 30th. It came to my attention right before this meeting that that event is actually scheduled for later in the year. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments regarding our special activities and events? Seeing none, we'll move to the report of the director. Director Odom.
Thank you. We had our meeting with the Mayor's Administration and the Finance Department last month to discuss the current state of the department, challenges and silver linings, and also our fiscal year 22 funding requests. As you all know better than most, that we are in need of operating dollars, and I did express that, as I always do, to the administration and the finance department, and they were very receptive. The meeting was very positive, and we will know in the next few weeks what will be included in the mayor's recommended budget. So we are looking forward to that. As I shared in my email from a couple of weeks ago, the Hermitage Capital Corridor Foundation has advised that the reopening of Church Street Park will be delayed until May or June. I will follow up with them to get some specific dates to share those with you. They wanted to coincide with summer tourism and as things open up from COVID to make the park have the best chance of success. Also, as I included in that email, I have had a preliminary discussion with the Civic Design Center around collecting stakeholder information, stakeholder input for Church Street Park for folks who have not been involved. Civic Design is preparing a proposal and a timeline, and will get back to me, and we will move forward with facilitating that stakeholder input, and it will be parallel to the reopening of the park, so that we will at least have some other input when the park is, when this whole donation and programming with HCCF has ended. While also preparing for seasonal activities, our department has been in reactive mode, as you all probably know, with cleanup from weather events and supporting the Office of Emergency Management responses to events. Before I ask Rick Taylor to give you a status update on damage to our property at parks and the cleanup efforts, I'd like to first thank all of our parks teammates who have been involved in responding to emergency events of late. I know that I have called some of you very early on Sunday mornings and late into the evening, and I apologize for that, but want to thank you for always being at the ready, being ready to coordinate not only with your teammates here at Parks, but our peer departments. So maintenance, safety, community centers, park police, community affairs, thank you so much for all that you do for this department and this city. Again, you're always at the ready to help and support and fill in where you need to and support our constituents. So thank you. And with that, Rick, if you would please give us an update on the cleanup status and damage.
Thank you, Director Odom. Good afternoon, everybody. As you know, we had storms that started here about 10 days ago on Thursday, March 25th. And we had 2 additional storms after that on Saturday, March 27th, and then Wednesday, March 31st. Our cleanup efforts are continuing to occur. We will start scheduling structural engineering inspections on Greenway bridges in the next week or so. And some of these bridges will probably need some repairs, some minor, some major. We are continuing to receive estimates from vendors on various repairs throughout our park system. As you know, most of the damage occurred in some of the flood areas near creeks and rivers, Cumberland River, Harpeth River, Mill Creek, Richland Creek, 7 Mile Creek, Stones River, and Whites Creek. Initially, many of the sections of the greenways were underwater, and same with some of our bridges, as well as they have been covered with a variety of types of debris between tree material and trash. 7 Mile Greenway Bridge was damaged. I believe that was hit by a vehicle that got washed into the creek. Whitsett Greenway and bridge is still closed. The path actually has a large sinkhole on the Greenway path itself, underneath the culvert that goes under Glen Rose. The bridge is still covered with debris. We were actually working there today to clean that bridge up. We've also had a lot of volunteers assisting at Witsit. Jackie Jones helped us with that in terms of coordinating, I believe, Hands on Nashville there. And they did a great job. I think we had a 30-yard dumpster filled with trash bags in that dumpster this past week. Stones River Boardwalk is still closed. It is underwater. As you know, the Corps of Engineers will control the water release at Percy Priest, which dumps into the Stones River. And there are many times when that boardwalk is underwater. I believe in 2019, it was underwater for over 2 months because of 17 inches of rain in that February of that year. So that will be closed probably for another 2 weeks to a month. And we're that depends on how much rain we get in the near future and how much the Corps will release water. The Antioch Greenway had a large section of pavement that was washed away. That's along Milk Creek. Harpeth River Greenway is still closed. Extensive fence damage and erosion around one of the bridge abutments. Richland Creek Greenway is closed. There's fence fencing damage around the golf course. And the Mullins Greenway, most of that is debris around that one back area of the loop that dumps it. The debris comes from the Whites Creek area there. Fair Park Dog Park received a pretty extensive amount of damage there. The Browns Creek overflowed. The synthetic turf to the dog park was lifted and partially unattached to the foundation. We lost some fencing there. The fencing is up. We did get a cost estimate today for Fair Park. It's not too bad in terms of the dog park, the turf. It's about $3,000 to repair that. And then we did have about 8 playgrounds that were damaged in the system. The initial cost estimate's around $60,000. We are waiting on the actual repair costs from the contractor. Tree loss, but Shelby is always the one. I don't understand with Shelby Park, but Shelby lost about 30 trees during this storm system that came through. Warner lost about 10 trees. And then, of course, the city cemetery lost 5 trees, and they were very massive trees, and there's a pretty good amount of damage there. The tree work at the city cemetery will require outside contractor to perform that work. Those trees are very large. Our preliminary estimate for tree removal there is around $15,000. So again, we're still cleaning, we're still assessing. We're working on getting additional cost and repair estimates, but that's the cliff notes. There's a lot more there that I didn't go over, but this is kind of the big stuff. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick. And then, I'm sorry. You saying something, Dr. Steve? Okay.
No, I did see a hand. There is a hand raised, Commissioner Scott Barnes.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. Thank you for all you're doing, Rick. I've had some people wanting to volunteer, and I wanted to ask what the best resource was for people who are interested in volunteering for cleanup efforts to know where the best places to go.
Wow. I know Hands on Nashville have been really good. If they can coordinate with Jackie and then help, and then we can coordinate through Jackie through the different park areas, because they're moving around our park system and trying to clean things up. We just don't want people entering certain areas that could be unsafe. So if there is a group that really wants to do something, we can identify a location that will be safe, because there are some potential structural issues or even electrical issues in some areas that we just don't want anybody to get hurt.
So they would just need to reach out to Hands on Nashville.
Either that, or you can contact Jackie Jones, and then Jackie and I can work through that and see what the volunteers want to do, and we can try to put them in a location that is safe for everybody to be.
Yep, understood. Safety is an issue. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rick, for that update and report. And I will just finish my report by one, stating that, again, that the current electronic meeting orders is scheduled to expire on April 28th. And assuming nothing else happens and it's not another order is put in place or renewed, then we will be meeting in person in May. And following behind that, the naming committee, I see you, Commissioner Scott Barnes, you're thrilled. I think I am too. Our naming committee met today, and I will turn it over to Commissioner Scott Barnes to just recap how we will move forward with the collection of public input regarding the request to rename Hadley Park.
Thank you. Yeah, we did meet earlier today, and the process is what we were discussing, and the process that we laid out was that the Parks Department is going to issue an announcement as soon as possible, and there's some administrative things that need to be put into place for that. For there to be 4 different ways for people to issue public comments. So that would be by telephone, by mail, email, and then in person. And we discussed 2 different opportunities for the public to be able to issue public comments in person. So one would be in our next board meeting, which would be on May 4th. And then another meeting would be in Hadley Park in after hours, 6 o'clock, the date to be determined. And that would be during the 30-day period of public input. And I think that's the end of the process. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And Chair Steele, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. I want to recognize Commissioner Gentry. You have your hand raised.
Literally and figuratively. So I want to apologize for not being in attendance. I teach a class on Tuesdays, and so it's a little difficult to slide in those pre-meetings, but I do appreciate the work and the conversation and mapping out a plan. I just have a couple of, literally 2 questions. Number one, when will the process be documented and outlined so that we can, as board members, facilitate communicating that to our community? I am a consumer of the Hadley Park, and I pass by it, don't work or live that far from it. So I would love to have that information so that I can communicate, be a part of that communication channel. So do we know when the timeline, dates, locations, and times will be documented, phone numbers for calling, addresses for mailing, letters, all that stuff that we've put in here?
Well, I'm not sure if I should jump in, Director Odom, but I think that it was a matter of days. I think that the department just needed to get a few administrative pieces put into place, but it was her assumption that would just take a couple of days, so soon.
Okay, so I would just ask that it's a simple 1-pager that gets emailed to the board members when it's available, then we can help with the communication. My second thing is a personal and very selfish, but I'm sure shared request among those that are excited to see the possibility of this renaming happen, that it happen by the end of August. There is an African street festival that takes place in Hadley Park every year, and it would be absolutely amazing if this renaming is done by then, so that it can be a part of not only the advertisement, but if the naming for this, after this individual, Kwame Lillard, does go through, he was very key to that festival getting started, to its continuing to be a success in the North Nashville community. It is attended not only by, I would say, 2/3 of North Nashville, but by citizens across the city. And so I would just hope that we keep our meetings and our conversations in line with the goal of offering that gift to the community. And that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Are there any additional comments?
I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, if I might comment to your comment, Commissioner Gentry, thank you for those comments. I will just add that we certainly will send out our regular public notice with all of the details on how the public can give input. It's an extensive mailing list that we have, and we will share that with all of those, as well as the Parks Board members, as we typically do. And then too, just a reminder, I know that being very thoughtful about the timeline, I certainly believe that the Parks Board can have made a recommendation of whether or not to rename the park, but just a reminder that ours will only be a recommendation and that we will have to file a petition with the state under the Tennessee Heritage Protection Act to officially rename the park. So the state will have to approve that. But I certainly believe that the Parks Board can have a recommendation one way or the other within the next few months.
Are there any additional comments or questions from the commissioners? All righty, seeing none, we'll move now to announcements, requests for future agenda items and open items. If you have any, would you raise your hand and I will call on you. Commissioner Scott Barnes.
I wanted to add an agenda item. I think it'd be helpful for us to get an update on how we are doing on achieving some of the recommendations from the plan to play master plan. And I think it would just be good to see how we are measuring up. And if we aren't measuring up due to budget constraints or other reasons, that would be helpful to know too. So I would like to ask if the Parks Department could, over the next several months, work on collecting that information and reporting to the board, reporting to us in a board meeting, that would just be helpful for our body. And one recommendation that I would like to start with is just to resend a copy of the executive summary and a copy of the plan to play, either a hard copy, I'm not sure if they still exist, or an electronic copy, just to make sure that each of us has it as well. That's my agenda item.
Thank you so much. I'm sure it's been noted. I made myself a note. Are there any other comments regarding announcement requests for future agenda items or open items? Seeing none, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you so much. You all have a good rest of the day and the week, and we'll see you next month for our meetings with an S.
In person.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.